Hi, this is Roland Jean Charles from PMI JCM Realty Group, where we manage properties from an asset management perspective. So today what we really want to do is we want to talk to you about how you can set yourself up for success with the tenant experience by taking these steps when executing your lease agreement. And so as a property owner, you know that the lease execution and the lease is the most important part of your management or of your property, right, or your agreement with the tenant. The reason why that is that's what you hold the tenants accountable to when you want to evict them. That's what you hold them accountable to when actions are not being performed that they need to perform, and that's what you hold them accountable to when you go to court, right? So your lease agreement is the most important part of your rental property portfolio because it is the document that really tells or details what it is that you will do as an owner, what it is that the tenant will do as a tenant, and what the court will then enforce if there are any disagreements between you and the tenant, right? So it is a very important step, but that's a step that a lot of owners miss, right? So owners sometimes, and tenants as well, think that, I told them something, so, they need to do it, or I had a discussion with them, or, and the reality is, while some verbal agreements can be binding, when you get into these courts and you start having discussions with the lawyers about, or the judges about what's going on in the home and the challenges that you're having, they're going to go back to the lease agreement, right? And what's in the lease is what's going to be enforced. And so it's very important that you understand what's in your lease. It's very important that your tenant understand what's in the lease because it's going to make it a lot easier for you and a lot easier for them moving forward. So what are these steps, right? So what should you do, right, to avoid issues in your when you're managing your property, right, or when you're dealing with the tenants, right? What can you do? Well, the first thing that you can do is make sure that you explain the lease in clear language. Now, for me, as a property manager, I'm all about efficiency and saving time. And so I send my leases out to the tenants and expect them to read it. And if they have any questions for them to reach back out to me for me to give them any clarification. Now, there are some instances where you may want to take a step back, depending on the tenant, and go through line by line to make sure they understand each point. It just depends on the situation. At the end of the day, once they sign that lease, and that lease is written by a reputable attorney, and it's following all state, local, and federal laws, they're binded to it, right? But taking the time to explain the lease to the tenant definitely helps, and making sure that you keep track of the information that you provided to them will help your case moving forward if you ever have to take them to court, or if there's any disagreement in terms of what you should be doing or what they should be doing, right? So making sure taking that time out does not hurt if you have time to do it, but making sure that they sign it, making sure that they initial each page, which is confirmation that they've read it. Most of the time, I can tell you that tenants don't read their lease agreement. I mean, it's like the ULaw in the in IT, right? You never really read all of that instruction that they have or everything you're agreeing to before you click that button saying yes, you understand, just so you can get to the software, right? So just because you don't actually read it, you acknowledging that you read it is all that they really need, right? But taking that time definitely does help. The second thing is you get an opportunity to address questions that they may have, right? So if you take the time to talk through the lease with the tenants, you can sit there and answer every question that they have, right? And it'll make it easier for you down the road in the future, right, when you answer those questions, because then it clears up any misunderstandings, right? You sat there, you explained what's in the lease, and then you answered any open questions you had about them, that they had about items that were in the lease, then it makes it a lot easier to move forward, right? So making sure you take the time to explain the lease, then you get an opportunity to address questions in the lease, and it helps the tenant both understand what they need to do and what they can expect from you, right? Then your lease signing options, right? For me, I like electronic signatures, right? I can send a document over. They can, click a couple of buttons after they read the lease agreement. They can send it back to me electronically, and then usually with these electronic software systems, they send them a copy of what they've signed, right? So everyone has a copy of the agreement, right? When you use, when you when you use physical copies, you get these wet signatures. You have to make a photocopy. You have to mail it to them, and that just takes time. I'm all about streamlining the process as much as possible, so I use electronic signing software as much as possible. These electronic signing softwares are very savvy these days, right? Sometimes they request biometrics, sometimes they request pictures, sometimes they request PIN numbers to also verify that the person who's actually signing is the person that you sent the information to, right? So, and they are acceptable in the court of law, right? And so, it's my advice is to use electronic signatures any way you can. But there are times where you're going to have to use wet signatures and to go through that extra step, right? Particularly with the COVID and everything that's happening these days, and social distancing, people prefer having the electronic signature. But take it as an opportunity to streamline your business and really start doing things in a way that's going to be more efficient for you. So start using electronic signatures um, any way you can. Next is records, copies, and renewals. Making sure that you keep records of all of the interactions you have with your tenants is going to be great. And a great way to do that is to have a management system that you store all your information within that management system, right? So, it's okay to have things on a hard drive or an external hard drive, but if you have a portfolio of properties, if you have hundreds of properties, it's going to be hard to keep track of all that in your it's going to be hard to keep track of all that in your hard drive. But if you have a robust property management system, everything is correlated for you. You go to that profile portfolio, you keep all the copies there. You make sure that the copies are visible to the tenants, to the owners, and to yourself as the owner, and even the renewals. You'll get notifications when the renewals are due. So that'll be a great opportunity, right, to upgrade your systems, right? Any way you can to use a robust management system. Now, there are some management systems that are free. They have free trials. You can look them up. I'm not going to go into all that here. That's beyond the scope of this topic. The point is, make sure you have records, make sure you have copies, and make sure you understand when the renewals are. So avoid lease agreements, misunderstandings, and issues by taking time to incorporate these tips into your execution process. And if you feel the lease execution strategy could use improvement, contact us. We're always here to help. Having a professional renter manager partner can ensure executing your lease agreement flawlessly. I mean, we do it every day, and we make sure that it's done right to protect you and your property. It is our priority to keep you in the loop regarding the latest rental property management news and trends in the Tampa metro area. So please join the conversation by signing up for our free webinar. This webinar is going to walk you through how to streamline your rental property portfolio for maximum growth. It's a discussion you won't want to miss, and we do have bonuses for you just for joining. We're actually, for everyone who joins the webinar, we're going to allow you to use our robust property management system for your marketing, right? So you're going to get free marketing just for joining the call, and you're going to get great insights on how to streamline your business. So you cannot miss by joining this. And as always, consider joining the conversation with like-minded property owners on our Facebook group. We're here to help other property owners understand what the do's and the don'ts, and the discussion about lease execution is one of the topics. And we have a lot more topics that we can go through, that we will be going through on the discussion board. And should you have any need for specific advice catered to specific investment strategy, add a meeting to my calendar and let's connect. And so I'm available. You just use my Calendly link. You put books and time on my calendar, and I'll be able to talk you through any issues that you're having with with managing your property as an owner. Please use these resources because they're available to you. If you want to contact me directly, my telephone number is 813-333-9617. You can reach me on my website at pmijcmrealty.com. Please share and like this article if you feel that has been useful to you. I normally talk through the article so that you can hear directly from me, my perspective on what I've written, but you can also read the article if that's easier for you to do. And the links are also there as well for you to use the resources that I provided. Again, this is Roland Jean Charles from PMI JCM Realty Group, where we manage properties from an asset management perspective. Until next time, enjoy your day.